This is a reconstructed scene of a cattle raid. You have been spared a lot of gruesome details, including real gun exchange, death, especially during the resistance, looting domestic property on top of the cows, and taking young girls as captives, as was always the case. The scene, however, is a true account of some of the many raids that Johnson Lopera Lokurupacha, popularly known as Retired General, due to the many successful raids that he commanded. The story of Lokurupacha is a story of a soul turned Pole. From being a notorious raider attacking other Karimojong areas outside his district of Kabong to neighboring regions of Teso, Lango, Acholi and Sebei, and even across borders to Sudan and Kenya. Lokurupacha is now a peace disciple who traversed the entire Karamoja region, first persuading them to disarm and now encouraging them to apply their skills to more productive activities. In this reconstructed scene, the warriors that Lokurupacha has been commanding were never under his command. They are themselves accomplished warriors with many raids to their credit. However, they are now reconstructing this scene in the presence of Uganda People's Defense Forces, with whom they work under the local defense unit to provide security to Karamojong communities, having gotten rid of their illegal guns, enrolled with local defense unit under UPDF, and got trained. Seeing the warriors locally known as Karachuna working together with UPDF to provide security to Karimojong communities is testimony to UPDF's success in the disarmament program. It is not by mistake that this raid reconstruction features warriors donning components of the UPDF uniforms. It is by design to relive the actual experience of how some of the challenges UPDF faced in the disarmament program, including mudslinging. They would carry out attacks using the stolen army uniforms to create an impression that the UPDF soldiers were the ones carrying out the attacks. The UPDF Karachuna joint mission and vision to ensure a gunless Karamoja is a story of a 14-year journey that has taken skill, perseverance, patience, commitment, discipline, and heavy investment in terms of human resource, finance, and time. Covering an area of 27,900 square kilometers, Karamoja region, located in northeastern Uganda and covering the districts of Kabong, Kotido, Abim, Moroto, Napak, Nakapiripirit, and Amudat, is home to about 1.3 million people, according to the February 2014 Dan Church Aid report. Although all the people in Karamoja are referred to as Karimojongs, it is the three clans of Matheniko, Bokora, and Pian that are the Karamojongs. The GA of Kotido district and Dodoth of Kabong district in the north are called Karimojongs because of the similarity in culture and language. The region also comprises of other smaller groups, including the Pokot of Amudat, Tepeth around Mount Moroto, and Labor of Abim. All these groups are agro-pastoralists, to whom cattle is the center of life from a cultural identity perspective to social status and livelihood. This is a bull dance. A man is going to marry and his people are running around neighboring villages showcasing some of the cows they'll give to the bride's family. This is how central cows are in Karamoja. Traditionally, cows are also a source of food by providing milk and blood, but most importantly, a basis for determining one's social status.
For a Karimojong, by the way, to be without a livestock is like you are almost rendered to a dog, because you can't even talk. You can't participate in the public rallies or in public discussions.
A semi-arid plain with low annual rainfall, Karamoja's climatic conditions that usually lead to poor crop yields made cattle keeping the essential source of living. During dry seasons, women would stay behind growing food as they keep the home, while men would migrate to more conducive areas in search for water and pasture for their animals.
If two groups clashed and somebody is speared on any of the sides, that would bring the fight to an end. The Karimojong respected human life. The Karimojong saw blood as a sacred thing that would not be tampered with. The Karimojong, even at the time when they copied the practice of cattle rustling, never used to kill.
But this was Karamoja of the past, which the entire world almost knew nothing about. The Karamoja that we had known in recent times is an ungovernable, lawless place with no respect for life but sporadic shooting and merciless killings. The Karamoja we had been hearing about as a no-go zone. This situation escalated following the introduction of a gun that can be traced as far back as the 19th century.
One, the traders, ivory traders, brought guns with cattle. You either take a gun, go and kill elephants and bring the ivory to the traders, or take the cows if you have ivory in your deposit.
When I was young, growing up, in the 1950s, I used to hear that Karamojong have guns because they were buying them from the Turkana, who are getting them from Ethiopia. However, the situation became worse when in 1979, because of the collapse of the government of Idi Amin, when we captured Kampala here on the 11th of April, the Tanzanians, who were the main force, took many days or weeks before they got to Moroto. When Idi Amin's soldiers heard that Kampala had been captured, they just abandoned the barracks.
The Karimojong broke, the Matheniko, for example, in my district, they broke into the Amra and accessed thousands of guns and ammunitions. I saw people, women carrying guns, bundles like firewood. I saw people carrying guns with the boxes of bullets on their donkeys. And I saw people lose life in a fight for these guns.
So by the time NRM came in, all the clans of Karamoja were fully armed.
With all those stolen guns in circulation, Karamoja became unruly. The gun-wielding Karamojong terrorized rivaling tribes in neighboring regions of Soroti, Lango, and Teso, spilling over across the border to South Sudan and Kenya. In a bid to avert the Karamojong raids, the Obote government in the 1980s decided to arm the neighboring Acholi, Lango, and Teso communities, exasperating the situation. Some communities in Kotido that had started practicing agriculture and therefore showed less interest in acquiring guns ended up facing the full wrath of the gun-wielding neighbors.
The fact that we have never had illegal guns exposed us to those who are armed. I can assure you, by 1986, not even a chicken could be sighted. In fact, not even the mingling stick, not even a saucepan could be sighted. Because even the baskets already were taken. Everything was gone.
Abim's location at the border of Karamoja, Teso, and Acholi region also exposed her to further risks from all directions.
Abim was parceled out to armed warriors. Everybody had his enclave. Everybody is a commander of this parish. They distributed Abim district to themselves. Actually, If no miracle had happened in 1986 in this country, Abim would have been wiped out. God was just kind that a change in regime took place.
In 1986, when the National Resistance Army took over government, disarmament of Karamoja region was high on the new government's agenda. Immediately, they embarked on a disarmament campaign.
We wanted to disarm them after we had started. And there was a big clash between us and the PIAN, where 1st Battalion was involved, and we lost quite a number of soldiers, but we killed many warriors. That was in 1986. But as we were continuing with the disarmament, then Lakwena attacked on the 22nd of August 1986. She attacked Bibia. So on account of the Lakwena threat and then later on Coin, we concentrated on them.
By the year 2000, Karamojong incursions into the neighboring districts intensified, forcing over 100,000 people into internally displaced people's camps in Katakwi and Amuria districts.
But these Karamojong warriors were running amok. They were marauding in Teso, in Acholi, in Lango. And that was unacceptable.
This forced politicians from those regions to push for a parliamentary resolution calling for a program to disarm Karamoja. The equally concerned President Yoweri Museveni went to Teso, where he reiterated government's commitment to providing all Ugandans security, promising to deal with the problem of armed Karamojongs. True to his word, in December 2001, President Museveni launched the disarmament campaign. The president, who pitched camp in Karamoja, personally embarked on an extensive mobilization campaign in which he engaged political and opinion leaders, women, Kral leaders and Karamojongs to voluntarily hand over their guns. As part of the first phase of the program, different stakeholders were engaged to traverse the entire region to spread the message.
We want that gun. Even if you are hiding it underground, hide it for good, and it should not come out.
Kotido Peace Initiative, KOPIEN, is one of the organizations that set out to end violent raids and armed conflicts amongst the different ethnic pastoral groups by preaching disarmament and peace in the region.
And the message for KOPIEN to the people was that disarmament was the climax of peace. So, meaning that we are telling them that when you cooperate in the disarmament, you are cooperating in bringing peace.
The coming on board of women as disarmament mobilizers was another milestone in the disarmament agenda.
We played a big role as women in Karamoja because we were tired. One, we were tired when a man dies, another man takes over you. And we women came out and said, no, enough is enough. We are the ones who are suffering. We are the ones who have been killed. Our children are the ones who die. So they rose up and told men, we want you to give in arms to the government.
Apart from convincing their husbands and sons, women started forming entertainment groups that traverse manyatas and kraals, performing peace and disarmament songs. In a bid to entice more voluntary disarmament, incentives were provided to those who voluntarily disarmed, attracting more volunteers. The mass sensitization and mobilization took about 3 months, and the results were encouraging.
There was quite a good response. About 16,000 guns during the voluntary phase of the disarmament. But then the chaos continued, okay? And so you cannot do something forever. There must be a timeline within which certain actions must be taken.
After the expiry of the voluntary disarmament on 15th February 2002, President Museveni tasked Uganda People's Defense Forces with the responsibility of disarming Karamoja, paving way for the second phase of forceful disarmament.
Cordon and search, patrols, ambushes.
This is a typical cordon and search operation. During cordon and search, UPDF soldiers secure the perimeter around manyatas and kraals. Together with the local authorities, they enter the premises and ask people to get out of the manyatas as they search for weapons. When guns are found, people found with guns are taken for screening. Even for Uganda People's Defense Forces with its vast experience, disarming Karamojongs was a tough order.
It was not actually simple because people looked at a gun as their god, as a source of protection, as a source of livelihood, including women who thought secure when their husbands had guns. But we had no alternative but forcefully disarm them. And they had quite a number of guns. The 6-7 months I stayed in Kabong, we recovered about 420 guns.
Stiff opposition from Karamojong warriors made applying force inevitable. This, however, also took its toll on UPDF as the force came under attack by human rights activists that it was violating people's rights.
Some of these things may be inevitable. A warrior is firing at you and you are running after him. What did you do? You know? So, but these are not our methods. Okay? Sometimes situations force them upon you. That, you know, everything may not be, you know, you arrest and then you take him through due process, but sometimes somebody is resisting arrest, so you have to use reasonable force.
Bringing criminals to book also served to put UPDF officers into conflict with local communities. In the initial stages of disarmament, there were no operational law enforcement institutions in Karamoja. Many public servants could not take up work in Karamoja. This led to the breakdown of government infrastructure, including police and prisons. Against this backdrop, President Museveni, as part of the disarmament program, tasked UPDF with law enforcement responsibilities, including recovering raided cattle and arresting criminal suspects, another development that drew human rights bodies' condemnation.
The people we are dealing with were not just carrying sticks, they were carrying firearms, which were a monopoly of the armed forces, of the defense forces. And so those were now being tried by the military courts, because then we took them as militants.
UPDF's reputation also came under scrutiny due to some indisciplined soldiers. One such incident was the murder of Irish priest Father Declan O'Toole, who along with 2 other Karamojongs were shot dead by 2 UPDF soldiers on this spot on 9th March 2002. The soldiers were tracked down and tried in a field court-martial that found them guilty, and they were executed publicly by UPDF firing squad in Kotido.
So there's nothing that we condone. Yes, people commit offenses as they perform their duties, either by omission or by commission. But once that is once that has been established, then they are taken through due process of the law.
In order to prevent individual operational mistakes, UPDF also developed guidelines detailing the conduct of military personnel during cordon and search operations, violation of which leads to disciplinary action under the UPDF Act. The guidelines instruct UPDF soldiers to explain to community members and local leaders about the goals of disarmament. As UPDF was covering good ground in its disarmament campaign, Joseph Kony's Lord's Resistance Army rebel group made an incursion into Soroti, temporarily disrupting the program. As a majority of the forces were engaging Konyi, some warriors who had not surrendered their guns decided to cause havoc. This set back some of the achievements that had been realized.
They could go to a home where the people have given guns at night and rob cattle and run away with them. So in the course, sometimes also some lives are lost. So those other people who were in the process of handing their guns voluntarily now held back.
In September 2004, President Museveni revived disarmament as a priority and launched a new disarmament campaign.
When we came back, we had pitched battles with the cattle rustlers. in Morongore on the mountain. They went on the mountain, they thought we couldn't get there. We attacked them. And in the end, we removed 40,000 rifles from those warriors. And as a consequence of that, the whole of Karamoja is now peaceful.
By 2010, forceful disarmament using cordon and search operations had considerably scaled down due to less arms and ammunitions that were being recovered. To this point, the UPDF started conducting surprise intelligence-led operations to recover the remaining guns.
We share information from the people themselves. They give us information who is likely to be keeping an illegal gun. We use that information, we corroborate it with the one we receive from the police, from local council leaders. We share it, we synthesize it, and we get actionable intelligence that leads to the real recovery of the stolen animals or the illegal guns that the people are using.
So we go and cordon off, make a surprise attack. Sometimes we cordon and we don't get the gun. So sometimes there is misinformation, but sometimes it is true.
Apart from demonstrating a commitment to recovering guns at whatever cost, UPDF's recovery of raided animals also helped convince people to give up their guns.
There was branding of animals. There are those for the GA, for example, cows from Kotido would be marked with the letter J. Those of Kabong, Dodoth, those of Pian, like that, like that.
When a cow is stolen, the army follows where those cows have gone. And those cows will be rounded. Then later, because they are altered, so we use electronic stick and a mobile computer to get the information where the cow is from and who is the owner.
So whenever we could impound such cows, then we could call elders and the people affected. Then they could come and sort out their animals.
One such example is Arukan Losil, a respected warrior who headed one of the biggest kraal in Panyangara, Kotido district. The recognition that his Karachunas are no match may be a contributing factor, but it is the appreciation of UPDF's commitment to protect and recover stolen animals that got Arukan on board. Like Arukan, many Karamojongs came to realize that the UPDF was not the enemy but actually the savior. This realization saw communities start to work together with UPDF.
Relationship could have been strained at the beginning because they had not understood why UPDF was carrying out the disarmament operation. But on realizing that this disarmament would bring fruits, I think they understood, and that is why Karamoja is now enjoying the dividends that is coming out of disarmament.
However, UPDF's successful operations have in some instances suffered setbacks when in isolated incidents, warriors successfully raided protected kraals and took cows. Some of those cows were never recovered.
When we found out that the UPDF was engaged in other missions and they were scanty on the ground, we advised people to bring their animals together in the kraals. And then the UPDF who was there, the forces, would keep them protected.
But then when the Pokoto came, they overpowered the protected army camp and took away a total of nearly 4,000 head of cattle. That is the last biggest raid ever that he has taken. The biggest ever we have had and the last one.
And when they told me, I said, no, that was our fault. We shall bring back those cows. I don't know why the Attorney General has not refunded those cows, but he's supposed to.
There will soon be a program to verify the cows that were stolen Is the number exaggerated or it is the truth? Basing on the report of LC3 at that time.
As the army applied a stick and carrot approach to recover guns, the Office of the Prime Minister and international development partners, led by the Danish International Development Agency, developed a framework that guided development as a tool towards disarmament.
We developed what we call Karamoja Integrated Disarmament and Development Plan. Recently in 2011-2012, we dropped the disarmament. So we now have KIDP, Karamoja Integrated Development Program.
The incorporation of development as part and parcel of the disarmament program has been key to the program's success. Mandated to coordinate and monitor the implementation of development programs in Karamoja, the Ministry of Karamoja Affairs under the Prime Minister's office has been implementing development projects cutting across all sectors, including agriculture, health, housing, education, energy, infrastructure, and construction, among others. This has helped restore people's hope in the future. In February 2009, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, the First Lady of Uganda, was appointed Minister of State for Karamoja. She started off by touring all 52 sub-counties of Karamoja to make an assessment of what was happening there.
Because the sub-counties now are the central place that government programs are planned and implemented and monitored in all the districts of the country. So you could see that government was not in place in Karamoja.
Certain institutions of the state were non-existent. Some of them were operating by remote control from Soroti, because then, you think if I travel to Moroto, I'm not sure of my safety. You needed escorts, you needed a convoy. That was cumbersome.
So I noted everything, and I knew that we had a monumental challenge to do real work in the area.
High on the Karamoja development agenda was food security. Initially, 80% of households in Karamoja depended on food relief from World Food Programme and other relief agencies. However, since 2010, dependency on food aid has reduced to 10% households. This has been made possible through the distribution of 2,000 ox plows, 14,000 hand hoes, 4,000 oxen, 1,000 heifer, and 1,000 goats that the Ministry of Karamoja has distributed to communities targeting mainly women, youth, disabled people's groups, and elders.
She introduced what we call advanced farming. Cassava was grown for the first time in Karamoja. Millet was introduced. That farming, there are mobilization. People understood her as a woman because a woman's message is more effective than normally men can do.
Even when we started agriculture, it could have failed, but our continuous monitoring of government programs, first of all, shook the local governments, because the local governments were used to the fact that they are not only an insecure area, but they are also so remote from the central that nobody would take the trouble to go to Karamoja to monitor what is happening there. But our persistence in monitoring what was happening, what resources went there, and what they did every financial year, people started knowing that somebody will find out, and they started working.
Working together with the Ministry of Water and Environment, the ministry has constructed big valley dams for each district and smaller dams at parish level throughout Karamoja. Funds have also been dispatched to all districts of Karamoja to drill boreholes in all water-stressed areas. Education is another key area that the Ministry of Karamoja is focusing on.
what we have been trying to do is to encourage even primary schools to become boarding schools so that the children can actually live in the schools and stay. So we equip the dormitories with mattresses and blankets as much as we can. We've been working with UNICEF. UNICEF helped us to equip some of the boarding schools.
These modern apartments in 4 districts of Karamoja caught media attention. Popular for their grass-thatched houses, popularly known as manyatas, Mama Janet Museveni constructed 80 modern apartments, 20 of Napak, Moroto and Nakapiripirit, to demonstrate that Karamoja too can have this kind of accommodation, a culture that is now beginning to slowly take root.
That was a pioneer project for us to show these people that they too can live in peace and live in permanent houses. We actually worked with UPDF to build these houses. We bought the materials, and UPDF men gave the labor.
This 93.3-kilometer Moroto to Nakapiripirit road is being upgraded to bituminous standard by the China Road and Bridge Construction Company. So far, about 40 kilometers of the surface have been tarmacked, and the project is expected to be completed by November 2015. As a bonus, the contractor offered to work on the additional 7 kilometers in Moroto town and another 7 kilometers in Nakapiripirit town. These developments would not be possible if it were not for the peace that the Uganda People's Defense Forces has brought to the region after successfully disarming the Karimojong.
Now people are able to go each and every part where it is fertile to resettle.
The disarmament has united us together with all our neighbors, be it Teso, Mugisu, Sabini. Now people go there to cultivate. Others went there to do labor, casual labor, laboring for some food. They don't come back, they have built homes there. Now they cultivate, they grow food and bring to Karamoja.
The cattle markets are now booming with herds and herds of bulls and oxen for sale.
I do remember my brother, Honorable David Purkol, recently said, wow, what is happening? Seems some pipe has burst and everything is coming out.
Security has become so paramount that communities regularly meet with UPDF representatives, local government, elders and related stakeholders to discuss security concerns and getting updates. Communities, together with UPDF, are also implementing mechanisms that have been put in place to ensure restoration of law and order.
Now we are left with thieves, animal thieves, and just 1 or 2 isolated cases where a gun is used.
This community barbecue is a result of the Nabila Tuk resolution, under which they were allowed as a community to slaughter 1 cow and share it after resolving a cattle theft case.
It is named Nabila Tuk because this is where the decision was taken. That was in 2013.
We adapted a methodology where if you stole a cow, we track and we got evidence in your kraal, we cause you to multiply that cow by 2.
In order to punish these cattle thieves, the formula was 1 times 2 plus 1. You steal 1 cow, you multiply that by 2.
So that the one who was supposed to lose gains more.
That means now when you are handing back, you hand over 2 cows instead of 1. That means one has attracted a sanction of another. The other plus 1 is for the elders and the peace committees to enjoy. Because they have exerted some effort in trying to address the problem.
In this case, a man stole 3 camels. The owners tracked the footprints and it led to a kraal where the owners confessed that he had stolen the camels. He was found guilty and was fined 7 cows, 1 for the community to eat and the 6 to the owner of the lost camels. It is estimated that about 40,000 guns have been collected during the forceful and voluntary disarmament, just about the number that had been estimated to be in circulation.
When I compare the situation of that time and then the last 1.5 years, for example, we have recovered 20 guns. Most of the guns we have recovered without ammunitions.
You know, a gun minus ammunition is useless. It cannot kill unless you use it like a stick. But it shows to you, it proves to you that sources for ammunition as well as sources for arms are not as exaggerated as they used to be. Because if you recover a gun with 2 bullets, with 3 bullets, overall it shows to you that the supply of illegal ammunition is also curtailed because of the vigilance of the actors involved in the whole disarmament exercise.
The disarmament program has achieved more than 90% of the targeted illegal guns which were in the wrong hands. If there is anything which we can call a success story amongst the UPDF operations, this is one of them.
Today, Karamoja is a changed place, and people are living excitedly, from anarchy to peace.
NGOs who had packed bags and left, I think most of them are back in Karamoja because of the security situation, which has improved.
Gone are the days when you would not travel to Karamoja because it was not safe. Gone are the days when Karamoja would not explore its economic potential and rich cultural heritage because it was not secure. Gone are the days when Karamojongs would not take their cows to the market because they will be killed and cattle taken. Gone are the days when business would be done at the barrel of the gun. In today's Karamoja, markets are full, money is exchanged and products are plenty. This is because people can come from anywhere without fear of being killed. This is a truck taking lime to Tororo Cement Factory. Tororo is one of the leading producers of cement in Uganda. 80% of their raw materials comes from Karamoja. Dow Africa Limited is an Egyptian-based company whose confidence has been boosted by the prevailing peace, and it is investing in marble extraction. So far, the company has invested 47 billion shillings in equipment and consultancy. In 3 years' time, Dow Africa Limited intends to build 3 factories in this place that will be manufacturing products made out of marble. The UPDF disarmament success has also provided a case study for neighboring countries. On December 18, 2014, the Kenyan Parliament passed a law providing for forceful disarmament.
We are likely to see a more committed force in form of the Kenyan, the National Police Reserve Force. They will be more committed because they will be on payroll. And even the command structure, I think we have to borrow some, really leave from the concept of the local defense unit here. Then just replicate it the other side.
Although Sudan has not yet started the process of disarming, exploring the cultural ties, communities between Uganda and Sudan are dialoguing about disarming benefits. This is a cultural peace festival where elders, cultural representatives, civic society, government representatives and the cultural troops from Karamoja, Sudan and Kenya met to celebrate their rich heritage, existing peaceful relations, while at the same time discussing ways to maintain and improve existing positive relations. Now in preparation to set level ground for their departure, UPDF has fulfilled President Museveni's instruction to disarm the Karamojongs.
We don't feel very comfortable yet leaving Karamoja totally because, as you possibly know, we have disarmed. But some communities across borders with our neighbors have not disarmed. So there could be a threat to our disarmed Karamojongs by raiders coming from across the border to destabilize. So what we think should be the next step is for us as UPDF to get out of this chasing 1-2 goats which have got lost or which have been stolen, and we secure the whole of Karamoja from the borders.
Bye.